All right, looks good. Pre-trial hearings start tomorrow in Philadelphia in the Bill Cosby sexual assault trial.
Prosecutors are reportedly planning to show that Cosby drugged and assaulted women as part of a signature crime spree spanning 5 decades.
So prosecutors hope to call 13 of about 60 Cosby accusers to try and show a pattern. Cosby is charged in a single 2004 encounter with a former Temple University employee, Andrea Constan. She claims Cosby drugged and assaulted her. About 5 dozen other women have claimed the same thing. Pennsylvania law allows testimony about, quote, prior bad acts if they fit a nearly identical crime pattern. Cosby says he is innocent.
Joining us now to discuss this is criminal defense attorney Ambrosio Rodriguez. He's a former prosecutor with the Riverside County District Attorney's Office. So what's supposed to happen over these next 2 days?
Well, the Cosby people, the Cosby attorneys, filed this motion. The motion isn't going to work. Let me just say that straight out. I think that the idea that because someone has a disability, whether it be not understanding English or deafness or blindness, would impede a jury trial going forward.
And they're claiming he's blind, he can't see.
And he can't see, and that he can't confront his accusers.
Okay.
And it's a mixing of terms and trying to create a diversion, but as a legal issue, it's not going to work. Courts make accommodations for people with disabilities. The idea that if you become blind or deaf before your trial, that the trial would go away is kind of silly. I think what's really going on is that his lawyers are trying to influence the jury pool and kind of change the idea of Bill Cosby, celebrity sexual predator, to Bill Cosby, an aging old man who's going blind, so the jury will feel sorry for him.
Look like almost a victim in a way that he's been, all of these accusers coming forward. Now he has to stand this trial as a 79-year-old man. Talk about the other accusers. Now there are 13 of them that the prosecution wants to put forward. What are the chances that these 13 women will be able to tell their stories in the trial?
Well, Pennsylvania law is very much like California law in that the prosecution can bring in other alleged victims of sexual assault to establish a pattern. So if the DA has subpoenaed them and brought them to court, they'll be able to testify. Obviously, the judge has the ability or the discretion to take some of them out if he finds that their testimony is not credible. And the defense can certainly challenge whether or not they testify before they testify in front of the jury.
But this is not the trial, so what's the purpose of the next 2 days?
The next 2 days is to litigate this motion, the blindness motion, if you will, along with challenging whether or not the DA can bring in these other witnesses.
Is it fair? Does this just push the ball, stop the clock even further? Because if you have 13 women, and all of them with 13 different stories, and if you're going to depose all 13 women and decide whether or not the validity of their arguments, whether or not it ties in with the case or not, they're going to try to decide whether or not the women are credible, whether they're older as well, so whether they've just lost their memory and that sort of thing. Does this just delay it even further? Now we're going to have an 80-year-old Bill Cosby that may be taking
and you're absolutely right. And that is a great defense strategy. As a defense attorney, you want to slow down the process as much as possible. Delay, delay, delay. The older the case is, the better it is for one of my clients, for any defendant, because memories fade, witnesses go away, and it allows you to kind of, as a defense attorney, to kind of breathe and put a better defense together. So absolutely.
This case really has nothing to do with or for the 5 dozen women who've made these accusations, even though the 13 might come forward. In this is one case, one woman.
Correct. It's one woman, but there's also the 13 other women that want to come forward and tell their story as well. So the defense can use the amount of evidence that the prosecution wants to use to slow down the case as much as possible.
Even though they're just allegations. There obviously hasn't been convicted of any of those crimes. They're all just accusations.
Right. And that's fine because, if the jury believes them, then that's real evidence, right? And there's a reason why the prosecution wants to use this evidence so badly, is because it is so powerful. As a former prosecutor, I had these kind of cases. If I had that kind of evidence, I would always use it because it would make the difference between a conviction and an acquittal.
All right.
Ambrosio Rodriguez, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everyone's going to be watching.